Alright, you have area of a composite figures. Objective, I will solve for area of different shapes to form composite figures. So all the vocab words are here. You need to add in compose and decompose at the bottom. So compose is putting things together. Decompose is taking them apart. Okay, I drew how the shapes look like on the side just in case you need a refresher. On the trapezoid part, you have two bases, base 1 and base 2. And then the dotted line in the middle is your height. With the triangles, you need to know the different triangles. We have the equilateral, where all sides are equal. Isosceles, where two sides are equal. Scalene, no sides are equal. And then your right triangle with the 90 degrees. Okay, so our first example, your first step to do is identify your two shapes. Okay, so here our two shapes are the semicircle and the triangle. So when you identify your two shapes, go ahead and go draw your shapes out to the side. Okay, here we know that our diameter is 6 meters. Okay, and our other shape is our triangle. Okay, on our triangle we know our base is 11 meters, and then we know that our height is 6 meters. Okay, so this is called area of composite figures. Okay, so we know we're doing area. Composite, we know we're going to add. So here we have a semicircle. So we got to use the formula for area of a circle, which is pi times r squared. But since it's a semicircle, it's half of a circle, so I got to divide it by 2. So I'm going to plug it in. I have 3.14. Times, since our diameter is 6, we need to find our radius. Okay, so 6 divided by 2, so our radius is 3 meters. So I'm going to plug that in. So 3 squared, all divided by 2. Okay, then I have a equals. I'm just going to solve for the exponent. So 3 times 3 is 9, divided by 2. Okay, so I have 3.14 times 9. Okay, I get 28.26. Don't forget to divide by that 2. Okay, so when I divide by 2, I get 14.13 meters squared. Okay, and that's just for the semicircle, so that's not the answer. Okay, so now we need to find it for the triangle. So here, formula for area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. Remember, all your formulas are on your formula chart, so you don't need to memorize them. Okay, so our base on our triangle is 11. Our height is 6. So area equals 1/2. 11 times 6, we get 66. Okay, so it's the same thing as 66 divided by 2, which we get is 33 meters squared. And that's just the area for the triangle. Okay, so now we're going to compose. So we found the area of each. Now we got to put them together to find our total area. So I have 33. Okay, make sure you line up those decimals when you add. Okay, so we get 47.13 meters squared. Okay, and it is squared because we're doing area. So do not forget your units squared. Okay, here's example 2. So here we need to distinguish our two shapes. So we have a rectangle and a quarter circle. So I'm going to draw my rectangle. Okay, I'm going to draw my quarter circle. Okay, so then we're going to fill in what we know about the shapes, what they gave us. So if you look at the picture, we at least know the height is 10 feet. Okay, we don't know the length of the rectangle yet, but we do know that the radius is 10 feet. Okay, So if the radius is 10 feet, that means this is also 10 feet, okay? So it can't change for a circle. If the radius is 10, the radius is 10. So that means that from here to here, we have 10 feet. We already know that that part is 10 feet, okay? So if the whole thing's 21 feet, that means whatever's left over from here to here is our 11 feet, okay? So that's where I get the 11 from. So that means I know my length is 11 feet. Okay, so now we're going to find the area of each one. So area of a rectangle is base times height. So I have a base of 11, a height of 10. So 11 times 10, we get 110 feet squared. That's just for the rectangle. So now I got to go find for the quarter circle. Since we know it's a circle, we know our formula is pi r squared. But since it's a quarter of a circle, so it's divided into fourths, so I know I need to divide it by 4. So I have 3.14. We already know our radius, which is 10, and it's squared, all divided by 4. Okay, so A equals 3.14. 10 squared we get is 100. So we get A, divided by 4. Okay, so 3.14 times 100, we get 314. Don't forget to divide by that 4 since it's a quarter circle. Okay, so 314 divided by 4, 7 times. 8 times, and then add our decimal, so it goes in 78.5 feet squared, but that's just for the quarter circle. Okay, we know we're composing, they're putting the shapes together, so now we need to add them. Make sure you line up those decimals. Okay, so we get 188.5 feet squared. Okay, here's our example 3. If you notice now, we're not composing, we are now decomposing. Okay, so decomposing is to take the shapes apart. Okay, so if you look here, you need to determine your shapes. So I know I have a triangle. Okay, we have 4 triangles. If you can't see the triangle, here are the 4 triangles. Okay, and then you got to look at our bigger shape, which is our rectangle. Alright, so on our triangles, we know our height is 1 inch and our base is 1 inch. On our rectangle, we know that our height is 5 inches and our length is 12 inches. Okay, so area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. I'm going to plug in my numbers. So base is 1, height is 1. 1 times 1, we get 1. Half of 1 is 0.5. But this is where a lot of you will make your mistakes. We have 4 triangles here. Okay, so we got to take our 0.5 times 4. We get 20. We have 1 behind the decimal, so we get 2. Okay, so for 4 triangles, our area is 2 inches squared. And that's just for the 4 triangles. Okay, now I'm going to go over to our rectangle. So we have base times height. Base is 12, height is 5. Okay, 12 times 5, we get 60 inches squared. And that's just for the rectangle. Okay, since we are decomposing, we got to subtract. So 60 minus our 2. So we get 58 inches squared. Okay, and then this last one here is your you try.